muted to the stream. But I think we are now sorted out. So hey everybody, welcome back to Group C of the AMD Dota 2 Premier League. This is the semifinal, one of the two semifinals for Group C to determine who's going to be advancing to the main event, and it is Fairy Tail up against TnC. I am Baseskip, and I am happy to be bringing you guys this game. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it. I think that's it as far as intro goes. FT just won a fairly hard-won battle against... This should not be eluding me. It's still way too early for me to be missing out on names. So they just won a very hard-won battle against... Oh, looks like somebody's having issues loading in, but I think it's just it's just the TGPL caster. So they won a pretty hard-fought battle against Clan Ob, and now we are underway with the game, and I think that's it as far as intro goes. Yep, I've introduced myself, I've introduced the tournament, and I've introduced the game. We are currently at 0 piece in this best of 3 set. So, Fairy Tail, they're going to start us off with a ban on the Keeper of the Light, same story as last game. And TnC going to go for a ban on Nakes, so it looks like we're going to have at least a couple of those high power level heroes making it through, and things that do normally see a ban. So Batrider, Nyx, Batrider Nyx being the big pair, Wisp potentially. So that used against Fairy Tail in the last game. Lone Druid as well. Darkseer, I mean, I think everybody's pretty familiar with the metagame at this point in time. Thanks, man, Julio. Glad you appreciate the music. I've got a couple of Pandora stations that I just run through for the in-game music. And Hell Their Champ, this is not game 2. This is a whole new best of 3. So nice to see the two of you here. We've got some very exciting Dota coming up. Well, hopefully coming up. So Nyx is going to be the ban. I think Batrider is the question mark. TnC are just going to get rid of it. Nobody wants to play against it. Fairy Tail are going to take Magnus. TnC probably take Darkseer plus a Rubik. Shadow Demon plus something. Rubik plus Shadow Demon, we've seen it. It's not necessarily that great. I don't like taking your two supports right at the start of the game, and I don't like taking Shadow Demon and Rubik as the pairing of supports, just because there's a lot of lockdown that you don't necessarily need to be stacking up. So Lone Druid's going to be picked up by TnC. We saw the power of the hero in the last game, but also its downsides. Great in a 1v1 situation, but not so great if your tri-lane starts struggling. Hell Their Champ. Let's go through the tournament format as quickly as I can. There were a bunch of regionals, so each region played a mini tournament to determine the top 2 from each region in SCA, along with an open regional. The top 2 of each of those regionals advanced to where we are now, which is the regional qualifier final. So all of the teams in the regional qualifier final are playing against one another to determine the top 2 from each of the 4 groups. That gives us 8 teams. Those 8 teams will advance to the main event, where they will face off against the invited teams in a bracket between it goes from the 6th to the 9th of May, is all the way through to the quarterfinals, and then the semifinals and the grand finals. And all of that are going to be played from some later date. I'd have to get all the confirmation there. So, yeah, Rubik's going to be picked up by TnC. No big surprises against a Magnus, and Fairy Tail just weighing their options right now. And we'll see what the response is going to be against this Lone Druid. We saw some KP Tinker in the last game, and it is a very prolific Tinker, so we could potentially see more of it in this game, but I mean, playing Tinker, you got to be going pretty hard, and maybe that's not something that they want to be using game after game after game. So Fairy Tail, they're going to go for something a little bit unorthodox, and they're going to pick themselves up a Crystal Maiden and a Gyrocopter. We do see a lot of Gyro. We've seen it with Magnus. We know the havoc that he can wreak, but Crystal Maiden, not often such an early pickup. She doesn't necessarily have any innate advantage against Lone Druid. The bear is effectively a hero unit. It's not stunned for an extended duration by Frostbite, so there's no advantage there. But still a solid all-around support, and if they get some mana-hungry heroes in their last 2 pickups, the choices will definitely make sense. Crystal Maiden also quite good in a tri-lane situation, especially if you're going aggressive with a gyrocopter. Though, and TnC, the thing is, when they've got the lone druid, they would like, I think they would prefer to go aggressive and have the lone druid till the safe lane, where he's more than likely to win the lane. But if Fairy Tail go aggressive, then TnC will be forced to try versus try, and well, who knows? Putting your solo against the lone druid when your solo is on their own safe lane makes it a little bit easier to deal with the lone druid, though only slightly. So I think Fairy Tail in a pretty good position so far. They're going to choose to ban out Jug and Lina, so removing some of those pushing options from the pool. I would be none too surprised to see a Leshrac ban as well, given that they're sort of targeting that combination of push and the follow-up stun for the Rubik. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see Leshrac as the ban, though Fairy Tail could potentially have their eye on it as well. Crystal Maiden, not a terrible setup support. And
10 seconds remaining.
The prediction from chat is that it's most likely that Fairy Tail will win the game. Fairy Tail, I mean, a lot of these players should be quite familiar to people. A lot of these players used to play under FTFC, so Fumofu's Throws Fan Club. ZZZ or Snoring is Cynical, who's been around in the Oz scene for a very long time, so all of these guys have a lot of Dota underneath their belts, and I think KP, regarded by many as one of the best players in Australia as well. So DK is going to be the ban by Fairy Tail, and Shadow Demon, we're going to see that banned out by TnC. TnC is still looking for a support, and they're still looking for their primary farmer, pretty much. Lone Druid doesn't really want to have supports around him all the time. And yeah, Crystal Maiden, that was my reaction as well, hell their champ. So, well, what do we got? Fairy Tail, well, we're waiting for this last ban. It was support bans from TnC, pretty much just banning out setup supports so that Fairy Tail can't have a really nice time in an aggressive tri-lane. But they can't really get rid of everything, and they might turn their attention somewhere a little bit different in this last ban, though we'll have to see. Fairy Tail still have options as far as their lanes are concerned. Magnus doesn't have a great time against Lone Druid, but he does okay. And Gyrocopter, they're more than likely going to be in the tri-lane. I would be none too surprised to see a puck from Fairy Tail as their mid, though there is a Templar Assassin potentially as well. The Minus Armor does help you whale down the bear if you need to. So TnC, they're going to actually choose to ban out the Weaver, and Fairy Tail, they're going to pick themselves up a Skywrath Mage, and this makes the Crystal Maiden pickup make all that much more sense. If we get a couple of early points up in the aura, Skywrath Mage is a spamming machine, and might, if he's on mid, might even be able to drive the Queen of Pain out. The long duration instant silence is also going to be a big factor. That's a really big deal on the Ancient Seal, that it has pretty much no cast animation, it has no cast delay, no travel time. You click the hero, there's silence. That's the end of the story. And that's going to be absolutely great at locking out heroes like the Queen of Pain. So Fairy Tail, I really like what they're doing with the lineup so far. And Crystal Maiden, you don't always want to pick her, but it makes so much sense with the Skywrath Mage. So I've got a prediction for Stealth Assassin, is that? In chat, TnC, I think maybe reeling a little bit about the Skywrath Mage. People have not played against him all that much so far, so we'll see what the strategy is going to be for them. He is very, very squishy, and they do have a Rubik with some null field action to help out, but even more Earthshaker. Okay, so we saw an Earthshaker in the last game. We're going to see an Earthshaker again this game. A very defensive support. Does bring a lot to team fights, but doesn't really do too much as far as ganks are concerned. However, Skywrath Mage with no innate escapes will actually be quite vulnerable to rotations from Rubik and Earthshaker. So I like the pickup. It's a little bit unorthodox to be seeing so much support ES, and seeing these melee supports especially given that it looks like Fairy Tail might be going for this aggressive tri-lane right now. And yes, well, not sure 100% about how well he's going to do trying to lock out a Magnus. The nice thing about ES and Rubik is that you can do cheeky things, where if you don't necessarily lock somebody on the right side of the fissure, you can lift them back over onto the right side, and that's definitely a big help. So yeah, And Fairy Tail, last pickup for them, just looking for a support. Would be nice to have somebody who can soak up a little bit more damage, given that CM and Skywrath Mage are always going to want to be in the back, and Gyrocopter, until he gets his BKB, can't really be a frontliner. Magnus doesn't want to be leading the charge. He wants to lead the fight, but he doesn't want to be standing at the front. And Fairy Tail, they're actually going to pick up the Templar Assassin as well. So it looks like it might be a support Skywrath Mage, or perhaps a farming Skywrath Mage with a support Gyrocopter. And, I mean, Concussive Shot, while not an amazing slow, is quite good. And if it were a support Gyrocopter, you should be able to get in range for some Rocket Barrage action early on. Though not 100% clear what lanes are going to be just yet for Fairy Tail.
10 seconds remaining.
So TnC, just looking to round this off with sort of another farmer right now. Hopefully someone is going to have some game impact, because Lone Druid is going to need time, and I'm not sure how much Fairy Tail are going to give him. And I really like this. TnC going to pick themselves up a Darkseer. They've got a ton of flexibility, and he does have that early game. Well, he should be able to farm well pretty much regardless, and brings that early to mid game strength, which I think TnC do definitely need. And not to mention Vacuum, Fisher, Echo Slam combos. The potential is always there. And yeah, hopefully we're going to see some points in Enchant Totem this time. Man Julio was unhappy with the last game. So on TnC we have Shinchan003 playing the Darkseer. Bienjia Lei is on the Queen of Pain. You guys have to help me out with these names in chat. Sleep Not is going to be on the Lone Druid. Aaron is going to be on Rubik, and Tashi Heart on the Earthshaker. Over on the side of Fairy Tail, we have Snoring, ZZZ, Snoring, Cynical, whatever you want to call him. He's going to be on the very decked out Crystal Maiden. KP, K-Phoenix, going to be on the Mag. Cux on the Gyrocopter, VDK, or Vandal. They're going to be playing the Skywrath Mage, so that suggests that it is going to be more or less a support Skywrath. And Fumofu is going to be heading towards mid on the TA. All ready and raring to go. The Spirit Bearer, just with the stat shield picked up. Looks like TnC are going to be forming quite a defensive laning configuration against what FT are bringing up towards top. And again, this tri-lane has a ton of damage potential. The only problem is going to be getting it set up. But even then, shouldn't be too bad, assuming that Crystal Maiden can get at least 1 point in her first 2 skills. So it's sort of get up to level 2 and then murder people for FT, though they've got great level 1 First Blood potential as well. And the Lone Druid, while most people would consider him as a fairly tanky target, which he definitely is at the later stages of the game, starts off life as a very squishy agility hero who sort of loses some survivability by giving this stout shield to the bear. I mean, that's gold that he's investing, that's not giving him stats or regen. And so, yeah, he's actually fairly easy to deal with early on in the game. So, haste up on the bear. We've actually got Queen of Pain making her way down towards bot to be meeting KP on the Magnus, and that leaves Darkseer on mid to be matched up against Fumofu. No big surprises. Darkseer obviously fantastic against TA, the Ion Shell, absolutely shredding refraction charges. And it's going to force Fumofu to last hit under tower, which he shouldn't have too much trouble with, though we shall see. He will still have the damage charges from refraction to be able to get last hits, but creeps can always make things difficult. Fairy Tail, they throw down a ward in a spot that I don't think is actually going to block the camp. This is a common dewarding spot. Interestingly enough, the boundary of the camp, so the spawn box, the spawn box of the camp actually cover. That's a bad line. It's actually a little bit more like this, right? If you place it on the left-hand side, if you place a sentry ward on the left-hand side, you can deward the entire spawn box of this camp. If you place a ward too close on the right-hand side, you do actually block the camp. So a misplay here from FT. This ward is giving them nothing in terms of vision. It's 100% there to block the camp, and it's being misplaced. So that's a bit of an unfortunate misplay to start the game out, and that's going to give TnC a lot of levels out of this camp, and levels that they're going to make use of. Rubik's going to be getting levels up in Fade Bolt, not to mention more points up for Earthshaker, trying to get that fast level 6. So yeah, definitely a very unfortunate misplay for FT right now. And one that hopefully they have the tools to correct. They do actually have some sentry wards up to try and just to jam up that camp. But for now, Cux is coming across and wondering what's going on, guys. But this ward just does not block, and Cux now lifted back onto the other side of the Fissure. It's not actually a block, however. And the Gyrocopter, reasonably speedy, going to be able to make his way out. The bear still giving chase, already with an Orb of Venom picked up. So Sleepnot ready to fight in this top lane. VDK and Snoring coming across as well. And there was a question about server, so I'm going to quickly bring up the pings so you guys can see that. Hopefully that's visible. FT, I think it's on the Singapore server. Oh, that was the last game. I'm not 100% sure for this game. Though everybody is sitting up at around 200 pings, so fairly even there. And Vandal and Snoring making their way towards mid. Lane's actually fantastic for TnC. I mean, the support's fairly good at ganking a Darkseer, but definitely great at ganking a Queen of Pain as well. And, well, VDK doesn't actually have a point up in the silence just yet, going for the standard item build. So we'll see if they're going to be able to do anything about Darkseer on mid. He does have an invis, that 2-minute rune picked up. They're leaving Kux alone on top. He's messing with the lane equilibrium a bit, getting these cross pulls done. So nice job there, still getting farms, still getting levels. But for now, they come in on mid, and looks like Darkseer's going to be fine to pop a Surge, pop an invis, and just make his way out. So far for Fairy Tail, it's definitely rough going. KP is getting some farm down at bot, but getting driven out of the lane by the Queen of Pain, sitting up at 16 for 11, while KP down at 6 for 1. Looks like he's just trying to finish up his bottle, start bottle crowing to stay in this lane, but it's definitely hard times for KP on this bottom lane. And he's only going to be able to go for a single pull here, so that's going to make the lane equilibrium even a little bit dicier as he gets a double wave pushing under the tower for the Queen of Pain. He does manage to deny a little bit of experience and finish up his bottle, but this is a decision that I think has to be, well, can't be made lightly. He is definitely giving some easy farm back towards the Queen of Pain, but I think just getting whatever he can at this point in the game as he continues to get stung up. We've got a whole bunch of wards up on top. Hasten is going to be our 4-minute rune. Still no kill just yet. Sleepnot staying back very defensively, just farming up with the bear and Tushy here at all times, ready to go. Again, this ward does still not block out the camp. Snoring dragged back onto the other side of the Fisher, now in trouble, and in comes Shin. This is going to be our first blood. Sleepnot drawing that one. VDK in the middle of everything as well. The exit blocked out, going to put out some damage, but he's going to go down, and that's 2 kills drawn by TnC up on top. Kux doing nothing but bailing out. Well, where is he even heading right now? Maybe going to go for a stack on the Ancients, something like that. No, just taking a very defensive path back to the top lane. Speaking of the Ancients, they are a tool that Fairy Tail can definitely make use of to try and crawl their way back into this game. But the big problem for them right now is they've got a Magnus on their safe lane, and they can't really make the decision to swap this around. I really don't think they should send KP top and send the tri-lane bot. It just doesn't make things significantly easier. Yes, they can start shutting down the Queen of Pain, but KP isn't necessarily going to have a fantastic time up on this top lane, though the Skewer is some nice survivability against the Fisher. So yeah, everybody is lagging a little bit, but everybody has a fairly even ground as far as ping is concerned. On mid, Fumofu showing that he's still quite comfortable farming against the Darkseer. They're not able to be too aggressive for now. Picks himself up some boots. KP continues to run Bottle Crows at bot, so just continuing to get some farm up. They're still only sitting at 14, while Queen of Pain sitting all the way up at 34 for 18. Still very diligent warding from both teams. We're going to have a couple of despawns coming up. This ward is still, I mean, I'm so sad for this ward, because if not for this, maybe there wasn't a Fade Bolt on Rubik, maybe, things would have been slightly different. The haste on Darkseer was definitely not a great outcome for Fairy Tail either. But I think Snoring was probably dead up on top lane regardless. So the tri-lane just not having a fun time. They're going to keep running these cross pulls. They're going to keep doing whatever they can to stay in this game, keep getting experience. Kux, he's going to block, and that's going to be enough for them to get this pull. Nice little bit of teamwork there between Vandal and Kux. And, well, just showing, they deserve to be here where they are as a team. Just kind of rough times at the moment. And Shin now walking his way up, just going to pick himself up some arcanes. A ton of mana ready to go for him. Looks like Fumofu just getting his phase boots zipped out. Bottle Crows continue to run for both lanes, and Darkseer quite comfortable. Let's completely rephrase that. Quite comfortably able to keep the wave pressured, get all of the runes, and give TA a harsh time on mid. Not sure how Darkseer slipped all the way through to the last pick, but great awareness from TnC picking that one up. Meanwhile, on top, Cuck's in a little bit of trouble. Rocket Barrage doing some good damage. Looks like he's going to be able to make it out, and Tashi, similar story for him, down at 46 HP. Vandal the target, however. Orb of Venom still just slapping him away, and there's an Entangle. It's only, well, not just barely level 5 on Sleepknot, but that Entangle is going to finish off the Skywrath Mage and bring it up to 3-0 on TnC. Meanwhile, on mid, Shin brings it up to 4, and gets the vacuum back onto Fumofu. Just survives again on 45 HP, very similar to Earthshaker on top, but that's going to bring it up to 4-0. So, Fairy Tail, I mean, a lot of hope in the hands of KP right now. We've got a homing missile chasing in. Cox has the rocket barrage ready to go. They're going to be able to bring down Sleepknot. So a nice little kill there as the supports are off, just trying to run some pulls. Tashi is actually very, very low, just trying to get some more experience going. And Fairy Tail straight back onto the map. A little bit of farming space freed up by them as well.
Dire's top tower is under attack
And
without consequence.
Queen of Pain picks herself up a regen. The only rune that she really would have liked down at bot, and VDK, I think a little bit too slow. Are they going to be able to get in here? Shin just coming up. Concussive shot fired backwards, but this ion shell damage just a little bit too brutal. And the bear comes in to finish that one off. So Sleepknot picks up one more kill. Vandal, despite having boots, just, I mean, too slow because of the Orb of Venom on the bear, and how can you escape from the 5/2/2 Darks here? KP at bot, more Bottle Crows. We've got a Ring of Aquila picked up by Cux. That's probably going to be making its way along to him soon, though I think KP just wants to keep Bottle Crow, and he does not want to leave this lane, and really wants to finish up those Arcanes. However, Queen of Pain just hovering around. And I think, well played by KP, very well aware of the burst damage that the Queen of Pain does have now underneath the tower. But Quap needs to be careful. If she goes to the dive, she might get reverse polarity, and that could be her death. And we've actually got Vandal making his way down it. Now he's got the silence. Queen of Pain off to the side. This could be dangerous, but I think they see one another. Yeah, I think so. We've got pings out. KP is very, very low. Vandal's just bringing down a salve to prevent this death. But did he actually see the Skywrath Mage? No, there's the skewer, but Vandal wears the silence. There it is. They need the concussion shot as well. Reverse polarity. Quap. Nighttime vision, I guess, not able to scout out the Skywrath Mage. And a very nice kill picked up there by Fairy Tail. Meanwhile, on mid, Snoring just helping out Fumofu a little bit, so Cux left to fend for himself. At top, we've got people rotating around, so I'm going to bring up the net worth. And as you can see, TnC in a very good spot right now, able to get some dewarding done as well. They have blocked their own camp with this ward, which is a little bit awkward. I think they would like to run some pulls through, but they'll just be able to resort to stacking and pulling for the moment. And I think maybe intentionally blocking out the camp as well, though it could be intentional, it could be not. If it's intentional, it's probably a little bit late, given that they aren't really running the tri-lane up top so much anymore, just leaving Cux here to farm. Cux just finishing up a wand, going for those cheap effective items. We're going to double damage Darks here, coming in on mid. Fumofu in a little bit of trouble, but Queen of Pain doesn't actually manage to get the blink all the way up onto the high ground. It doesn't seem to make too much of a difference, however, as Fumofu will go down, bringing the score up to 2 for 6. And the Fisher on top. Cux going to be dragged a long way back. Now the Entangle, going to drop the call down, but it's only going to hit on the bear and just barely clip the Earthshaker. So just kills all over the map for TnC, and Fairy Tail supports. Vandal still just currently camping out bot, trying to get some more farm up on KP. And the only person who is having a reasonable time at the moment is K Phoenix, so a lot of pressure on him. There's still a skewer, there is not a reverse, but Vandal comes in. Where's the silence? There it is, there's the skewer, and this should be another kill. Shockwave just a second away. Blink. Animation begins, but not quite in time, and Shin now making his way down. Still very, very healthy. Tier 1's going to fall up on top for Mofu. Shin just going to surge himself away. There is still a side trap nearby, but looks like he's going to be absolutely fine to escape. Snoring just trying to get up a couple of levels on mid. 3 points up in the Frostbite for him as well. But Fairy Tail doing all they can to make sure that the last hope for them, KP, is getting those levels, is getting that farm, and can hopefully get them back into the game. Cux, I mean, all he needs is the call down to contribute to these fights if they get that one epic RP that, you know, sort of wipes out everybody. So, I mean, all your eggs in one basket. Maybe not the best idea, but it's sort of the best that Fairy Tail have right now, and that basket is KP at the moment. Vandal is going to try and TP himself out. Looks like he's going to be absolutely fine. That is a very awkward TP animation, at least to my mind. I mean, his model is so big with the wings and everything like that, and then for him to become so small when he's TPing out, I think it's a little bit deceptive with the hitbox, but hopefully won't amount to too much in this game. Shin has an invis on mid. Fumofu suspicious of what's going on. Aaron is actually coming in pretty aggressively. And meanwhile on top, Vandal and Kux going for a bit of a smoke. They've got Snoring here as well. And Sleep Not, he has his ultimate picked up, but he's actually just farming in his normal form for now. He's going to be hit by the slow. Will he be able to transform? Homing missile coming in. Fisher doesn't actually get the block. Kux walking through. There is a silence. He's still there. The call down, however, with the Skywrath ultimate going to wipe him out. Now Tushy the target, but in comes Queen of Pain. TP out attempted by Kux. Will it be in time? No. Sonic Wave used to clean him up. 2 for 1 the trade, but they do manage to stall the Lindred's farm a bit. He had already picked up his armlet, however, and Aaron comes in looking for VDK, who's going to be fine to run himself out. And there is a Radiant Sentry Ward down here right now, so that meld isn't going to help him disjoint. Fumofu heading in on mid. Looks like he's just working his way towards a drum right now, not having the most spectacular of times with all these deaths. And Shin comes in. It's just him threatening, but he's getting a little bit of body block going. There are phase boots up on Fumofu, so able to walk straight through. And now the trap's slow. They're going to be able to get everything else down, but don't quite manage to get the silence before the surge comes out onto Shin. So I think that was just maybe a matter of range for Vandal there. But a kill that maybe could have been. I think Shin's still fairly tanky. And he's actually got his mech flying out right now, though. Obviously wouldn't have helped him for that one. Sleep not going to turn his attentions down towards bot. Continue to apply pressure, continue to threaten tier 1s. KP's going to start farming up on top, still working his way towards that Blink Dagger. Probably another minute or so out from that. But TnC having a really good time. Up 5 kills, up 2k experience, and up over 5k gold, having taken a tower without any feasible response from Fairy Tail right now. Kux just working his way straight towards that BKB, has his Ogre Club picked up. Fumofu still just working on that drum. And Fairy Tail pressure in on top. There is a fortification ready to go, however, and I think TnC might just try and take this trade. No fortification for Fairy Tail. The TnC in the end will just accept the trade. No attempted mass TPs. Everybody's still down at bot, and I think maybe daring Fairy Tail to come and actually fight them. They've got the mech. Fairy Tail decidedly do not. And again, they've just picked up the Blink Dagger on KP. This might be the call to go. And TnC, will they be punished for this? They're really daring Fairy Tail to come and take this fight, to come and defend this tier 2, but Fairy Tail, I think the response from them is going to be, we're going to take the fight, and who's going to come out on top, we're going to see in just a second. Both teams posturing. They should now see the Blink Dagger up on KP if they're being diligent with their inventory checks, and looks like they are. TnC not going to risk it. Not going to risk their position in this game just for a tier 2? Or maybe they are. Have they seen the Blink Dagger? But maybe they just don't care. They do have the mech, they can heal up from the burst, and they do already have that first point up in the wall as well. Sleep Not, very, very tanky, not quite up to the level 2, well, not quite up to level 2 ultimate just yet. Fumofu's going to come in, and KP, he's smoked up. Can they find this initiation? TnC a little bit grouped, but they managed to get the Fisher out onto it. They vacuum them back onto the other side. The wall drops as well, but the reverse polarity from KP. Where is the follow-up? There's the skewer back, there's the call down, the damage, but 3 already dead. The call down, will it even wipe out Tushy? It won't. Oh my lord, that Sonic Wave from TnC wiping out Fairy Tail. That was such great setup, such a great reverse polarity, but the burst damage between the wall, the Echo Slam on the Sonic Wave just wipes them out. 10 kills now the advantage for TnC, and they are now threatening racks as they head up onto the high ground. Buyback's not even relevant for Fairy Tail. They will respawn to try and defend this one, but just the counter initiation from TnC, really great. They got the positioning advantage early on. The tower was very, very low. They just walked along the duration. They walked along the distance of the Fisher, and the heroes that KP was forced to reverse polarity were just so split up from his team that was a very, very brutal team fight. So Fairy Tail, it's looking pretty bad for them, but Another big reverse polarity could see a team fight going back in the completely opposite direction. And for now, Sleep not working his way towards a Maelstrom. They get some aggressive wards down, taking control of the Radiant jungle. And they gambled a little bit on bot, but feeling confident in their Darkseer, feeling confident in their team fight power with that second point in the Sonic Wave picked up. And the very squishy heroes currently on FT, just absolutely melting. Kux is going to disconnect, so we're going to have a bit of a pause. There have been some server stability issues of late, so hopefully he'll be back fairly soon. But yeah. What's going on? Sorry guys, if there's a little bit of lag, I don't seem to be dropping frames on my end. So hopefully that's all okay. I hope the video isn't lagging. I'll have a look at the VODs to see if the stream itself is lagging when team fights break out. But otherwise, it could just be the bitrate spiking. So 720p plus can be fine otherwise, but then when it's 720p plus during a team fight, that's the maximum bitrate being pushed through, and that might cause a little bit of lag. Whether or not that lag is on my end or whether or not it's on your end can be a bit of a question, but I'll do my best to check it out. As far as re-encode is concerned, as you can see in the FAQ, I'm not partnered with Twitch, so I don't have 480p, I don't have 360p, I don't have 240p as options. I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm doing my best to rectify that situation as quickly as I can by just streaming as much as I can and trying to get my average viewership up enough that I can be partnered with Twitch, as well as asking a couple of people who are able to pull some strings for me at Twitch to be able to get that partnership through. So I'm sorry about that, that for now, guys. If 720p isn't okay for you, you can watch in game, but you do have to spend $3 on the ticket. So yeah, that's just the situation at the moment. So we've got a disconnect from VDK as well. Looks like we might be waiting just a little bit longer. As far as experience and gold are concerned, a very hefty lead for TnC, up at about 7.5k experience and about 10k gold. Plateauing just for a moment. TnC coming on mid and just taking full advantage of the position that they are in this game. Not letting the pressure, well, not having the pressure relent at all on FT. And after that last team fight, Fairy Tail maybe going to have to feel a little bit more cautious about taking any sort of fight until Jara gets his BKB. And I touched on this in the draft. Until Jara gets his BKB, I mean, Skywrath Mage, Gyrocopter, and Crystal Maiden just can't stay at the front lines. And Magnus doesn't want to be at the front lines either. He doesn't want to be soaking up damage. He doesn't want to have his Blink Dagger on cooldown. He wants to be behind somebody and go for a jump, which is the thing. So they don't really have anybody to hold the line at the moment, at least until TA maybe gets a BKB, until Gyrocopter gets a BKB. And that's part of the reason why TnC were just able to walk and just wade straight up towards them, and Earthshaker was able to drop an Echo Slam when it's, you know, effectively a melee range ability. Like, an Earthshaker shouldn't be able to just get right on top of you, but between the Vacuum and, you know, Vacuum and Fissure, they've got the tools to get in there. And Fairy Tail don't have anybody to deter what's happening at the moment. If Gyrocopter was more farmed, if he had a BKB, if he had some damage, then Flak Cannon would be the tool to stop TnC just walking straight in. But with the tri-lane going the way that it did up on top, I'm not going to harp on this ward again, but the tri-lane went the way that it did up on top. Mid, Famofu, I mean, for all of his skill as a player, Darkseer versus TA is just not a matchup that you can dominate in the slightest. And bottom lane Klopp versus Magnus was just not really something that KP could do anything different about. So a little bit unfortunate as far as the draft was concerned for Fairy Tail. And I think getting caught out a little bit by that last pick, Darkseer, just not on the mind. We've got some disappointment from fans in chat, but it's not over yet. It's not over yet, And it's not... This game isn't over yet, and the best of 3 is far from over. So for those of you who are fans of Fairy Tail, then stick around, because I don't know, I maybe feel a comeback going on, and I think they can at least take one game here. So, okay, discussion about resolution in chat. We're still waiting around for this pause, guys. So, yeah, just chilling out, waiting for Vandal to reconnect. And if anyone from Fairy Tail is tuning in, I believe. I mean, TnC, they're in a great spot right now. They're playing really well. There's no reason to... everybody wants to root for the underdog, right? So, to Fairy Tail, you gotta believe. I want to see some great Dota. You guys want to see some great Dota. And to that end, I will always support the underdog in any match. Man Julio, where has T-Duck been? I don't know where T-Duck has been. He definitely did play for FTF, definitely did play with the players that are currently in this team on Reel 'Em In. He was playing with them for Tide's Wrath. He might just be busy at the moment, so yeah. That's what's happening with T-Duck, to the best of my knowledge. He's probably just busy. I don't know him personally. I don't have him added on Steam, so yeah, that's the situation. Still just waiting around for Vandal to reconnect. What else happened? Well, there's just not a whole lot to analyze in this game, because the 2 solo lanes worked out as expected. TnC got themselves into a great spot as far as the solo lanes were concerned. TA versus Quap can actually be kind of even, assuming that the Queen of Pain doesn't get pooled sentries, but even then, the TA does get farm. But against the Darkseer, it's just absolutely brutal. So, yeah, there was just no space for Fumofu to get anything done. In KP we trust. This is the KP trust, but we shall have to see. Man Julio, best long lane in AU. I heard this Helix guy is the second best player in Oz. Sorry guys, I'm just watching stream chat at the moment, so if things get a little bit quiet, that's what's going on. But we'll have a look at... we've already shown the graphs. I'll show anything else that's relevant. That's kills, deaths, assists. So as you can see, a Darkseer who has basically no contest in his lane does a lot. Last hits denies, a lot of farm on the Queen of Pain. The Fumofu has actually managed to catch up quite a bit in terms of last hits. Some of that might be the small camp, so I'm not 100% sure if that's necessarily relevant of the situation in the game. And he's died a whole bunch, which has really hurt his farming prospect. Hero level, a very similar to... similar story from what you would expect from this game. Experience per minute, current gold, current gold doesn't really matter. Net worth, gold per minute, buyback stats, and that's it. So I'm going to switch it back over to net worth, and that's pretty much all I can show. And as that finishes, we have a reconnect from Vandal. So hopefully, we will finally be able to get back underway with the game. Though looks like Snoring just having a bit of a discussion with the team. So we are finally back underway, guys. Here we go. So TnC still... okay, after a long pause like this, players forget exactly what they were doing. So they're going to take a second to regroup. The 5-man push ready to go on mid, but looks like the target perhaps just Roshan as well. Again, not a whole lot that Fairy Tail can do at this point to try and defend. Fumoffu just working his way towards what appears to be a Manta style, none too surprising, given that the Queen of Pain doesn't have an Orchid up, and that there is a lone Druid bear who can potentially entangle. So being able to split out of that is going to be a big help. Fairy Tail, they know what's going on. They've got a reverse polarity ready to go, but Tashi is just sitting right outside the base, and there's an Invis Earthshaker of all things. They've got full vision of any entrances to the pit. Really great positioning from both of the supports, making sure that nobody comes in, that there is no 5-man RP that could mysteriously sort of end this game. Well, not even end this game, mysteriously get them back into the game. Rubik's gonna slide his way down into the pit to participate in that Roshan kill, and TnC gonna pick themselves up with that Aegis. It is actually going on to Sleepknot. He's got his Maelstrom finished up on the bear as well, and they are currently hunting for Kux, who has a TP, but is actually gonna get bounced by the Fissure. There's also a it's so sad. It's too sad to even commentate. Had Kux even tried to... there's no enchant totem on Earthshaker, but there would have been an Echo Slam had he attempted that TP out, and Kux, I think, just sitting there wondering what happened to his life when you get stuck between a bear and an Earthshaker. It can't smell very nice, so my condolences to Kux on that death. TnC, they're going to form up, they're going to start pushing down towards bot. Chin preventing any sort of ground being gained by Fairy Tail. They have claimed the tier 1 on top. Fumoffu getting a bit of farming space going. And DA definitely a hero that can have a high impact in a game like this. However, it is going to be fairly difficult to get back in. Good defensive wards going up from Fairy Tail, trying to stay in control of whatever part of the map they can. The sentry wards from TnC helping to swiftly deny anything of the sort. Fumoffu is going to continue to apply pressure on top, but again does still need to be very cautious. Earthshaker almost has a Blink Dagger up as well. This is just how good the game position is for TnC right now, that your support Earthshaker has a Blink finish. So Fairy Tail continue to just try and get whatever items up they can, still being very efficient with whatever... being very efficient using what portion of the map they do have left, but they are going to continue to fall behind in terms of both gold and experience. And that flatline is so weird. Is that dragged out by the pause, or was that actually the situation for a very long time? That just doesn't feel right for some reason. I don't know. Maybe the graphs are freaking out a little bit on me with this new patch. But hopefully this is the accurate depiction of what's going on right now. So Sleepknot's going to push in down at bot. They've got an Aegis up on the bear, and they're going to continue just pressuring this until they win the game, or until Fairy Tail can win themselves a team fight. And KP with the smoke ready to go is hoping to do just that for his team. Fumoffu, meanwhile, is just going to continue to apply pressure on top, in the hope of forcing back TPs, but the tier 3 tower on bot already gone. Homing is still going to be chasing after the bear. Rocket Barrage doing some damage, but Chin is just straight in. KP, can he find this initiation? VDK in, no wall down. In jumps the Queen of Pain. Mech still ready to be used. Reverse polarity thrown out on 2. There's the Skywrath ultimate as well. Fissure, however, is there. There's the call down. There's the wall. 1 dead. So far, it's just the bear, and now Shin's still alive. Mech pops. TnC still up and fighting. Vandal drops. Fairy Tail fighting out of their fountain. A big dive from TnC, but the Entangle and the Vacuum back manages to bring down Fumoffu. And Snoring and Kux just hiding away as best they can. The racks already under siege. It's going to drop. Fortification will pop. And Fairy Tail only at risk of losing 1 rack. They're still tier 2s up on both mid and on top. But I don't think TnC stopped this push just yet. Reverse Polarity is on a cooldown, and they still have a Sonic Wave up for themselves. So until Fairy Tail can actually kill all of them, I don't think they're going to get them away from their base anytime soon. They've got an urn picked up on Rubik just to keep the heals flowing, and they've also got the mech. So they've got all the sustain that they could ever want, and they've now got a pipe to add to that in terms of pushing up onto the high ground. And it's just going to be so absurdly difficult to kill them now. I mean, the perfect combo for Fairy Tail, and this is the Fairy Tail combo, I guess, is 5-man RP, 5-man call down, 5-man Mystic Flare, and then, you know, 5-man TA Splash, 5-man Crystal Maiden doing stuff. And with the mech and the pipe, if those go off before that happens, that's going to be trouble. KP goes for the skewer, but gets silenced. Here's the call down. Shin-chan in a little bit of trouble. Mystic Flare right on top of the Queen of Pain, still alive, but it's going to drop. Tier 2 tower goes down at the same time. That's the only kill. Aaron now in trouble. 1 for 1 so far. KP goes down. The bear stuck in the middle of nowhere for Mofu chasing. Looking at Tashi. He's going to be able to get the slam down. And now for Mofu, still going for it. Shin-chan doing his best, but doesn't have a surge. One more stomp, and looks like Darkseer actually able to get in the gap there and prevent anything untoward happening. There's another silence up on the Darkseer. They're turning around for the burst, but he's still extraordinarily tanky, and in comes the bear. Is there a resummon available on Sleep? Not. There is not. But it is very, very close. But Mofu pops the Earthshaker, wanders in a little bit too far, however gets entangled for his trouble. Now out of that one, but Shin still giving chase. Drum Charge is going to pop, he's going to be fine. Snoring, still just looking for something, has another Frostbite. That's a resummoned bear, looks at Snoring, but gets stunned up, and Cuck's putting out some good damage. Still a very long team fight, but not quite so bad for Fairy Tail there. And bought them enough time to get the reverse polarity off cooldown as well, without investing too much. No buybacks, nothing of the sort. Aegis will probably wear out within the next 30 seconds, so TnC needs to be careful about the timing on that one, but you get a vacuum back into the wall on 2. KP going to skewer himself away, and just wants to try and heal up, get ready to use that RP. The wall was used, but not to any great avail, and I think TnC might have to consider backing out of this one. Shin very low on mana right now. Fairy Tail, that's a little bit of a bump in their favor. For Mofu's going to try and get some farm going on top. Yasha already finished up for him. And Tashi now walking up. Can they close this gap? Sleepnot is actually body blocking himself a little bit with the bear, but Tashi just waiting. He goes for the enchanted totem, but for Mofu, very, very fast. There's the Fissure. Will there be a first hit entangle? There will not, but he's still just running, throws down a trap. In comes a hasted Darkseer. This is just not fair. Vacuum back into the enchant totem. Into the aftershock, and down it goes for Mofu, so a little bit unfortunate for him. However, it's not without a trade, and Fairy Tail are going to go in on mid, try and claim this tier 1. Fortification will pop, but I think it's going to be a tier 1 all the same. So the last couple of minutes, still not great, but looking up for Fairy Tail. However, they are still having to mitigate what's happening down at bottom lane, and not being a very high level makes that kind of difficult, though Gyrocopter can deal with it to some degree. And Gyro are going to go for the TP out, but he's going to get vacuumed, doesn't want to use the BKB, but now Cuck's in big trouble, can't join this fight, needs to just run out as quickly as he can, juking as well up onto the high ground. Jukes! There's the loops! Cucks, where are you going? But I don't think it's going to be enough. He's going to get cleaned up by the Shockwave. And Cucks, I mean, you don't want to use a 10-second BKB charge to safely TP out from a push that you went for, but you shouldn't get into a push in the first place where your only avenue of escape is TPing out by using a BKB charge. So unfortunate for him there, and Fairy Tail, a little bit of a mistake overall. Meanwhile, Queen of Pain did manage to clean up KP, farming in the Radiant jungle. So Fairy Tail, it's still looking okay, but it's still gonna be a long way back into this game if they have any sort of hope. Still down 14 kills, 7.5, almost 10k experience, and about 15k gold as well. But again, guys, it is a best of 3. There's still lots more Dota action. Well, there's still at least one more game coming up for this set. TnC coming to push mid. The next Roshan is about 2 minutes away, so we might see them break formation to go and grab that one. Lone Druid already has his AC finished up. This is just absolutely brutal. And again, I don't think even the Fairy Tail combo is going to be able, a 5-man RP with everything on top, is going to be able to win them a big, well, I don't know if it's going to be able to win them a fight, frankly, at this point, especially with both the pipe and the mech up. A lot of it's going to come down to kill the hell out of the Darkseer. If you can burst him down before he does anything, then that's a very convincing fight for Fairy Tail. But even if he's just able to use his items, which, I mean, there's hardly any way to stop him doing so, given that they don't have any really long duration stuns, and using their reverse polarity doesn't count in that regard, obviously, because you would prefer to kill the Darkseer and then RP everybody. So I just don't know if that's going to be feasible for Fairy Tail right now. Yeah, Gyro has his BKB. Queen of Pain has the BKB up as well. We've got... Still have that blink up on touch. I'll bring up the overall item progression for now, though nobody has made it too much farther along. KP 1.4k gold up in the bank. There's nothing on the courier for the moment. And for Mofu, we're just making a little bit of use of the dire jungle right now. Still have to credit Fairy Tail on their use of the map. They're making use of their two camps that they really have access to in the Radiant jungle, feeling unsafe to walk up this hill. However, they are also making use of these two camps in the dire jungle. So their side of the map is sort of more like this than it is, you know, right down the river. So, you know, getting some use out of that. They get a tower up on top, undenied by Queen of Pain. However, TnC are heading straight into the Roshan pit and Fairy Tail. If they're going to take a fight, it has to be a fight right outside their base. They need that marginal advantage. Despite clumping in the Roshan pit, again, it's just going to be a hellhole if they fight against the Darkseer in there. So, right decision from Fairy Tail to continue try to get as much as they can out of the map while waiting for TnC to arrive and seeing if they can pull off, well, something that's nothing short of miraculous in this team fight. And Fumofu is going to continue to apply pressure on top. He wants to stall as long as he can, but needs to be careful about being caught out. And I don't know if TnC are going to have any of this. Fumofu, I think they're going to force him to TP back before he forces any of them to TP back. And the bear up into the high ground now, turning his attention towards the tier 3 fortification is available. Fairy Tail, however, good split from them, splitting up their heroes in a way that, oh, Cuck's not able to dodge the Sonic Wave with his BKB. Gonna pop the BKB, but one more right click is gonna bring him down. Vandal down with, well, down goes 2. Triple kill actually picked up. I think Snoring cleaned up by just the clip, just by the Sonic Wave, dying pretty much immediately. So that's a buyback used. But Fairy Tail, without all of their heroes, I don't know if they can actually get this one down. The vacuum, the lift, the wall, reverse polarity thrown out on Shin, but that's it. And there's the Echo Slam. That's a double kill for Aaron. And GG is going to be called by VDK. So that's going to be a GG go next. TnC still have to win one more to walk away with the set. So thanks everyone for tuning in. This is the AMD Dota 2 Premier League. This is the regional qualifier finals, and this was Fairy Tail against TnC Iron Basket. I'm a little bit tired, and I think it shows slightly, but hopefully the cast was still enjoyable. If you guys have any feedback for me as far as my casting goes, I would love to hear from you. Send me a message, or leave me a message in chat, or send me an email at basekipdota@gmail.com, or anywhere that you see the name Basekip. Again, guys, love to hear back from you, love to hear criticism, advice, anything that you have for me. So yeah, that's going to be it for this game, and I will be back with the next game hopefully very, very soon.